All right, so I think about a month ago, this young lady invited me over to her mom's house for some dinner, and she had told her mom that I am a low carb eater, and her mom was like, oh my God, he's gonna want bacon. I'm not gonna make bacon. He's just gonna want bacon and cheese and bacon and more bacon, and that's what those low carbers eat. And no, she didn't sound like that, but essentially those were. I think I said bacon a few more times than she did, but that was really her perception right there. And and I was kind of chuckling to myself, and then she's like, "Well, we're not having a low carb meal. I'm making the meal I was gonna make." Oh, and then she started lecturing me on how low carb is unbalanced and unhealthy, and I'm gonna die and awfulness. And I thought she was gonna hyperventilate because she was like really passionate about how unhealthy my eating plan was, and I just said, okay, let me ask you something. And she said, yeah. I said, well, what are we having for dinner? I'm excited to hear what we're going to have for dinner because I'm a hungry boy. And she said, well, we're going to have London broil, which I've been roasting, and we're also going to have green beans, and we're going to have potatoes au gratin, and we're going to have a side salad and some dinner rolls. And if we're good, maybe some dessert. And I said, oh, really? Now, let me ask you this. Would you be offended if I said I didn't want the potato and gratins and said, can I have an extra helping of green beans? And instead of the dinner rolls, maybe a little bit more salad. Would you be offended if I did that? She said, oh, no. And I said, do you think that would be unhealthy to eat? She said, no. I said, do you think it might be a little bit more healthy than those of you who are eating the potato au gratin and the dinner rolls? And she said, well, yeah. And I said, I thought so. Shut up! Hey, how are you doing? So to kind of take you back to the beginning of my journey, and when I sat down and thought to myself, what do I need to do to lose weight? I'm not going to follow a specific eating plan that somebody outlined for me or that I read somewhere because I know I'm probably going to gain it back. What is the problem with me, with my food? And I realized, probably knew it all along, but it really came to me in the beginning of last year. You need to eliminate these foods you're addicted to. I think part of me is unique that I have a very healthy metabolism, especially for someone my age. The reason I'm overweight is because of my food addictions, not because it's metabolic. And the food addictions are what killed me. So my eating plan, the way I outlined it, is, Greg, eliminate what you're addicted to. I wrote down a list of all the things that my body freaks out and needs. And the ones that were glaring are things like pizza, pasta, French fries, anything deep fried, anything breaded, man-made carbs, sugars, chocolate, desserts, all of the above. And it's very interesting because all of those foods not only affected me weight-wise, they affected me emotionally too. If I had sugars and man-made carbs, I'd get really hyper, and then I'd get really moody. Or if I was home alone eating them, I would not stop. I'd be watching TV and eating and just didn't even realize I'd eat and eat and eat and eat. And then all of a sudden, before I knew it, it was all gone. I'm like, did I just eat all that? And then I felt it in my stomach, and I had to lay down, and I felt sick. And that's what caused me to be overweight. I eliminate those foods from my eating plan, and I don't feel that way. It's very striking. It's empowering. When you do not crave anything, when you are in full control, when you're in front of your refrigerator, incredibly empowering. And the second I felt that way, which was about a week after I started this plan, when I think I weighed about 265, and I said to myself, I'm going to lose all the weight, and I'm going to lose it fast. That was the thought in my brain. And the reason being was because I felt like I had full control over what I could eat. I didn't have emotions taking over. I didn't have cravings taking over. I didn't feel like I had to be strong. Be strong! No, I eliminated the addictions, and I felt wonderful. There was no doubt. There was no doubt. So did I replace foods? I suppose I replaced my old eating plan with my new eating plan. Even though my new eating plan had a lot of the things I was eating in my old eating plan, it was just eliminating some of the things in my old eating plan. Because think about this, and I think a lot of people can kind of learn from this. I think a lot of people say I emotionally eat, meaning I have emotion and it causes me to eat. But you ever think, do you eat emotionally? Does that make sense? Do the foods that you eat cause you to have these emotions sometimes, like the man-made carbs did to me, peaks and valleys with my blood sugar level? And then I get emotional, and then I eat more, and my body craves it, and I eat more, and my body craves it, and it is this cycle pattern that just makes you get more unhealthy, more miserable. You feel more guilty, and you feel awful. So, this is the ABCs of my eating plan. This subject, replacing foods. To me, it's eliminating those foods. A lot of people, I know some people are like, well, don't you want to have some here and there so you don't binge? No, because if I don't crave them, I'm not gonna go nuts for them. I am not gonna go nuts for them. Now, for me, a lot of people say, well, how do you eliminate carbs? They're all over the place. Man, when if you're a low carber, and I get a lot of messages saying, hey, what can I do for low carb? I'm looking for a bunch of meals and things like that. I recommend gentleman Beowulf, if you haven't seen. He's got a really good following. He kind of is the authority on Atkins. He does Atkins, but he has a whole bunch of low carb recipes right on his channel. I would go over there. I made a video on another collab channel that I do, or that I did. I don't know if we're reforming or not, called the Fantastic Five. I will attach a link to that video because it was a chicken dish. I actually replaced the pasta with chicken to make this really good low-carb dish because I just kind of thought this Italian seasoning on this chicken, if you just need something that's a little more variety. And I put out that video, and a lot of people responded to it. Oh man, I tried it. It was awesome. I got messages on Facebook. I got messages on Blog TV, and I got messages here on YouTube saying how awesome it was. So I will have that link as well. I eliminated the pasta. I replaced it with chicken, I suppose. There's your replacement for you. So a couple ideas if you are one of the low-carb folks. The great thing about that chicken dish, too, 330 calories. So it's an incredible tasting dish, and I think it would work well in any eating plan. So I'm going to have that there for you. These are great because they don't have those evil man-made carbs. And I'm going to say it again. When I say you're in control, and sometimes you feel food is in control, well, you can put the kibosh on it. You can put the kibosh on it. There's been many ideas on how to replace those foods, and I am a firm believer. A lot of people say, Greg, oh man, you've gone through so much and you're so straight. How do you have so much tact? How do you see things the way you do? How are you such an inspiration in all those things? How do you look at things that way? And I really believe, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't believe that way. It really was eliminating those foods from my eating plan. Life is so much more clear. Everything is so much more clear. I'm a lot more driven. And yes, roadblocks and hurdles have been in my way, but I overcame and jumped over all of them. And I think a lot of it had to do with having a clear mind because of what I put in my mouth. Think about that.